Hey, what's up everybody? So this is my little contribution to the Metal Tag 22 that's going on. Got started by the Rock Scout. I will link to his original video and the list of questions in case you do want to make your own entry to this, but I'll jump into it. This is my first one of these, so I didn't do it last year and thought, why not? You know, here I am before it gets too deep into the year. I kind of want to just get this knocked out, and it'll give me an opportunity to show some of the videos that I have not showcased over the course of all of 2021, and in addition to that, some other records in my collection. So, get me started. I'll read off the questions. I got them posted over here. So first, before we jump into the questions, actually, we are listening to Aldridge in the background there. I'll pull this out, quick likes, get a chance to look at the cover before I jump into the questions. So that'll be playing in the background. Here we go. Question number one. Your favorite reissue of 2021. So there were a lot of reissues that I loved, but few that I don't want to say called or requested. This is Cauldronborn. So Legend of Atlantean Kings is what they're calling this. And it is a re-recording from a different Cauldronborn release that I talked about. One of my first 5 videos that I did for this channel was talking about Cauldronborn, and one of the things I mentioned, I'll get the record here one second. Okay, so this here is Cauldronborn with And Rome Shall Fall, which was their second full length. And if you go back to, it would have been, I guess, March or February of 2021, I said that the one major criticism I had with this record was the production quality. Well, here we are. I think Fall of Atlantean Kings, or Legacy, I'm sorry, of Atlantean Kings was released in July. So I don't know if Howie Bentley already had this in the works, but I am happy to see that all the songs were re-recorded. The production here is much better. This sounds great, and they've got a forthcoming release here in 22. Super excited about that. So, reissue of 21. Next question, number 2. It's a band you discovered, new or old, in 2021. This is Reign of Terror. They're a Texas death metal band that came about the same time as bands like Infernal Dominion. If you remember that sort of era within Texas death metal, Reign of Terror is in that sort of group of satanic death metal coming out of Texas, and Imprecation is another band that sort of plays in this style. They're a little bit more on the technical side though. I mean, that's comparative, but you can hear sort of the, what do you want to call it, like samples, like movie samples that were sort of filtering into the New York death metal scene at the time. It started to play a role here in terms of the kind of qualities that you'd find on this. It's not just like a Imprecation record, which is very much in that satanic vein. There's a little bit of the Northeast spilling into this in terms of, you know, what was popular at the time, because I believe Threnody of the Impaled is released in 2001. But this was a cool find, and I've kind of a niche that I will be developing here on this channel is really that decade 2000 to 2010 in death metal. But that went over so well last year, and I feel it's kind of a space that's not really addressed within the YouTube community. So that was a cool contribution that will go into my sort of cut your teeth annual or every once in a while updates. So question number 3, an album with an outstanding vocal performance. Mayhem, Order ad Chaos, or I believe that's just Order of Chaos in Latin. So this is the return of Attila on vocals, and what's really interesting about this one is, you know, De Mysterious is such a classic Norwegian black metal record. I don't, need to rehash that at all, but Order ad Chaos sounds nothing like that. This is much later in the Mayhem discography, and the sound on this record is like, I think Blasphemere is doing the vast majority of the songwriting for the band at this point, and it sounds like what a chemical fire would smell like. I guess that's the one way I could describe it, is there's this element of like the Death Industrial contribution to their black metal sound at this time is pretty well established, but Attila's contribution, he comes back after the De Mysterious. There's this absence where Maniac is the predominant, vocalist in the band, and here in 2007 we get the return, and my goodness, man, it's super creepy, and that sort of like vaporized atmosphere that's toxic and dense. Like, that's kind of why I go for the chemical fire analogy, but there's something about this that is equally venomous as it is something that you would potentially inhale. Really unique atmosphere on it, and Attila's contribution, it's everything that you're used to with him. These like weird piercing screeching highs, and when the songs sort of slow down and empty, he does an incredible job. It's almost like he's choking out vocals. Really weird. Awesome vocal performance. Attila at his best with a black metal background that completely suits his unique character and personality. So, next up. Okay, question number 4. Show a gap filler. Speaking of 2000s aughts death metal, essential band, Dead Congregation. I'll probably be a completist with this. Promulgation of the Fall is this one here. I believe it's the second full length. But people who don't know Dead Congregation, an important band that sort of in the 2000s pushed back on a lot of the more technical or clean sounding influences of the genre, and sort of reawaken what bands could do with a lot of the incantation influence. Essential band, so I'll definitely keep those Dead Congregation records coming. Okay, next up, a cheap pick, or a cheap pickup, I should say. So this, I was in Cincinnati for my birthday, and this is Omen, Warning of Danger. This is an original pressing. Now, it's not in the, you can see that it's been a little beat up and used, so it's not like a mint condition, but I got it for $13 for an original pressing of Omen, 1985 on Metal Blade Records. Classic epic heavy metal. Kind of they're like an epic heavy metal, power metal band, but Omen's fucking awesome, and I was so pumped to find this. The record store that I bought it was primarily selling hip-hop records. Like, I bought MOP Warriors there, and this was just in a rock section. They didn't have like a metal section, but was super pumped to find this, and I came across the counter to purchase the records. The guy kind of was like confused, but for $13 on an original Omen record, absolutely, I'll take it. Next up, your favorite artwork from a new release. So this is, I don't know how you pronounce this. What do you want to say? Crixcore? I'm actually going to take a photo of this and show it to you because the artwork is deserving of like a greater degree of pour over than what I'm probably going to be able to capture with this camera. I need like to get a higher quality. But this is their debut full length. Here are the lyrics, which is kind of a tedious whatever job, but when I saw that album cover, it's let me get the name here right. Okay. So Necronicon is the artist, Daniel Consuela. I believe that's the correct pronunciation. But he plays in Sloboth, I think. A Chilean artist, tattoo artist, but he's done a bunch of different albums over the years, but that's a wild record. Really crazy. Like one of my favorite, if you want to call it Black Death, or that's probably the way you would describe it, but I'll just call it black metal. One of the wildest black metal records that is deserving of a vinyl purchase for two reasons. One is the album artwork. You want this kind of art on a LP to look at, pour over, enjoy. But it's just two songs, a side A and a side B. And I think that was intentional, when they thought about composing the album, that they wanted to do it in two foul swoops. And you'll understand when you listen to it, like it's not music that you could listen to segmented or in a track of 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long. Like it's meant to breathe and intoxicate you over the course of the 20 plus minutes on each side. So awesome record. Question number 7. I think this is favorite song, right? Favorite song of 2021. Oh. So Fortress, Lost Forever, the opening track off of their debut full-length here, Don't Spare the Wicked, Californian band doing traditional heavy metal. One of those songs you hear and immediately, they released it originally as a debut single, and I got it that morning. I probably spun it or listened to it digitally over Bandcamp like 20 times in a row or something ridiculous. Waiting for a full length by this band for a long time, and their first single did not disappoint. The record overall has like incredible highs and some other tracks that I think are, less exceptional. But, I've only had it here for about a month or so. So it's still, I'm working my way through it, and I haven't really formed a full opinion yet, but you'll probably get that here soon enough. One of the bands, though, to keep an eye out, in terms of the young traditional heavy metal bands, you want to keep an eye on Fortress. So, question number 8, a song that became an earworm. So this is ECclesia, and the second track here, the first is just sort of an instrumental. But this is actually a 2020 release that I got later in 2021, and their whole shtick is like conversation about the Catholic Church during the Dark Ages. You can kind of tell by the artwork there, and but their second track here, Vatican III, It sounds a little bit like, well, the band in general is like Candlemass meets Powerwolf. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you want to call it like cheese. I mean, it's an amazing record. I love this band. There's just something about this that is over the top. And the reason I bring like a band like Powerwolf, there's something about it that is immediate and enjoyable and a lot of fun to listen to that a lot of you sort of associate with the European power metal. But they are an epic heavy metal band with some sort of faster riffing style, which is the Candlemass piece. But Vatican III opens and it's got this like a melodic guitar riff that would almost lead you to, before the rest of the band kicks in and the vocalist jumps on, it would almost sound like a Melodeath riff. You can tell me what you think. Maybe I'll play a sample here for you, but fun to listen to. That's ECclesia, and I think this is their debut full length as well. But the second track here, Vatican III, is what you want to listen to kind of get you started. Question number 9. 2 albums destined to be pulled from your collection. So this Swampbeast record, let me get the other one. 7 Evil Spawned of 7 Heads, and Silent Winter with Empire of Sins. What was interesting about this, when I first heard Swampbeast, I thought of Severus. I thought it was going to be another band in that style, and to some degree that they are. But the more I listened to it, the more I heard a little bit of like a hardcore element creeping into this record. And what's interesting is, at the end of this year, we got a record by Severus, and you could clearly tell that there are some key differences between the two bands. This just did not grow on me, and I think there's other, people out there in the metal community here on YouTube or within, here in Lexington that probably are going to enjoy this record more than I would, just because I don't really like a whole lot of the intersection between hardcore and the modern death metal sort of revival stuff. So someone else is going to enjoy this more than me. And then this Silent Winter I discovered because I was trying to get more into European power metal. And this is a good record, but I think there's probably others that I could go after that would take its place in terms of, at the end of this year, I listened to more traditional metal, and I think there's going to be some other options here that will take its place that I'll probably spin more often. It's one of those deals like when you're trying to learn more about a genre, you kind of take some risks and buy some things based off of like an early impression. This one just didn't sort of hold on relative to some other pickups that I had this year. So 2 records that I will send off to someone else here in the community. A band that you've gone off, you're no longer really listening to. Mastodon, I know this was really popular, their new release that came out this year, but it's one of those bands that I have like a really strong relationship with in terms of how formative they were when I was first getting into the genre. I think a lot of metalheads my age feel the same way, but now they're just doing something totally different, and it's just not for me, which is, I don't mean to be like, I'm not trying to bash what they're doing now. It just sounds different, and it's kind of for a different audience, and that's cool, but their early stuff will be always play a major role when I think about the bands that influenced me getting into the genre. So I love this record, but I don't think we need to talk about Leviathan. Okay. A 90s album recommendation. Destiny's End. If anyone out there likes American power metal, Destiny's End comes out. This release is Breathe Deep the Dark. I believe it came out in 1998 on Metal Blade. And yeah, 98. Anyway, it's like a project. So this time Hellstar had kind of disbanded, and James Rivera, the vocalist for Hellstar, got involved in this project, and that's kind of how I discovered them. But if you dig Hellstar and that time period in their career in the 90s when they were kind of inactive and fragmented, and they came back later in the 2000s, but this is sort of a band that took up a lot of that sort of, what do you want to call it, like carried the torch during that time period. So if you dig Hellstar and you want another cool sort of like sleeper find from the 90s with American power metal really wasn't a thing, check out Destiny's End. A 7-inch, okay, show a 7-inch or name a single that sold an album to you. So this is Corrupt, and this is a very early 7-inch from Blood Harvest. I want to say this is 2006. But this is back in the MySpace days before Bandcamp was a thing. And Prophets Prevail was the single that I heard, and killer thrash song. They did not last, this comes out in 2007, 2006, 2007, and they didn't put out a full-length. Slave State Serenades is their lone LP, and that took, I want to say, that was released in 2012. It took a long time because I think they sort of fragmented from this project and went on to bands like Enforcer and Tribulation. They're Swedish. So they disbanded and kind of made their way into other really cool Swedish metal projects, but for a short-lived time, this was one of my favorite thrash bands in the 2000s. But Prophets Prevail here, killer track. I love this 7-inch. An epic song. One of my favorite black metal releases this year, Midnight Odyssey. The opening track, which is the entire side A of this triple LP, Dawnbringer. I think it's like 20 minutes long. I mean, from the moment it starts, this is an epic, ambient black metal project, so you're definitely in it from the long haul to begin with. Like when you sit down and you're wanting to take in all of it, it's going to be a sitting. But Dawnbringer starts off on the right note, and you know exactly what you're in for within the first, minute of this track, minute of this triple LP. It sets the tone right. It nails everything that epic black metal should sort of evoke, and love this album. Another nominee for like album artwork of the year. Quick opinion on Record Store Day. I kind of feel like it's great that record stores may bring in customers who would otherwise be purchasing online or through Discogs or something like that. But and I'm happy to see there's more interest in vinyl today, or in physical purchase media, than maybe wasn't there, let's say in the 2000s. But it's just not for me. I mean, I feel most people who I know who are really into music don't identify with the kind of promotional content surrounding Record Store Day. So I'm happy for the record stores. I want to keep them, around. I still want to be able to go record shopping, but Record Store Day I don't really feel is for, they aren't looking at me or targeting me or record collectors like myself. At least as of yet, they haven't they don't speak to me. Okay, next question. What part of your music setup would you like to change? Probably the biggest thing, I need a larger room. I shared where I listen to music and my record setup, like with, it's just a general living space. It's a living room. I don't have like my own personal music room. So I think when my wife and I find a house here in Lexington, it'll be one of the things that, like, she'll want her own workspace and I'll want my own music room, and because she often works from home where I don't. But I've picked up a bunch of new components, and I feel like the next upgrade that I will make to my audio equipment will be like down the road, just because of how content I am right now. Maybe a streamer, like a dedicated streamer, but I'm into physical purchase media, so probably the next upgrade I will make to my system is a DAC. I'm playing right now through a Rotel Tribute, and which is a great CD player and has a solid internal DAC, but I think I can make a good upgrade since it has a coaxial output that I can use to make an upgrade to the DAC and really take my CD collection to the next sort of sonic level. But yeah, outside of that, I really just think like a dedicated listening room is the biggest thing that will leave room to optimize sort of the fidelity and acoustics for my listening. Disappointment of 2021 probably would be anything that I lost in the move. So when Corinne and I moved this year, I want to say there was a record or two that was left out for me to pick up, and it may have been stolen. I don't know who would steal, a record, but there may be a few things that went missing this past year, just due to being left out, at a front door for too long. So that's probably the saddest thing. Is like a lot of the stuff that I bought is no longer, it was like a limited availability sort of purchase. So until they get to reissues, or because they may come to Discogs, but they'll probably come at an astronomical price on Discogs, I'm out of luck, and it just happens. But that's probably the one thing that I'm probably the most disappointing about anything relating to music for this channel over here in 21. An album you are expecting or looking forward to in 2022. So Brian Arkham, I don't know how long ago it was, he pointed out there may be a Suppression record. So the bassist from Ripper, his name escapes me right now, so he splintered with the band, and Suppression is a death thrash act out of Chile, which is like one of my favorite thrash scenes. Anyone who's been watching this channel for a while, you'll probably hear that be brought up multiple times. But they're potentially coming out with a full length. There was just an EP that came out in 2020. Maybe it was last year. I want to say 2020, but there was just an EP that came out on Unspeakable Acts and Dark Descent. So hopefully we get a full length here in 2022. And I don't know what will become of Ripper here in the future, but I will keep an eye out to see if either one of those projects release something new, because I would like to know what Ripper sounds like with a new bassist. But anyway, moving on. Who would you like to see release a solo album? So this is Witch Hazel, and the main songwriter, I would say the central band member for Witch Hazel is a guy named Colin Hendra. I believe that's here dead center on this Witch Hazel release. This is Sojourn from 2018 on Bad Omen Records. but they play a style of like 1970s traditional pastoral English heavy metal, kind of like an English version of Vestal Claret. Amazing band. But I would love to see, since he's sort of like the principal player here, I would like to see him potentially put out an acoustic album, just as a singer-songwriter. Be interested to see what he could do. So, Colin Hendra, if you see this, any interest in a solo project? Anyway, because I think this kind of like sound lends itself to almost an added or stripped down sort of approach to English folklore, which I think Witch Hazel would be a great sort of inroads into. Okay. Show a piece or a placeholder you would rebuy in better condition. My God. So this is an original purchase from 2007, and you can tell how much I played this to death. So everything is gone here. This is Blood Red Throne's Come Death, and right, it's falling apart. It's been scratched up and beaten. I think it still plays okay, but I did not take good care of this. But then again, whatever, I was 23 at the time, and I just did not care about collecting and physical media as much. So, but an interesting. So Mr. Hustler leaves the band here, and this was maybe the last record that I really was excited for with Blood Red Throne, and it's been hilarious to me to see this band get so much press and coverage in 2021. Because it was absolutely dormant, and I think people had forgotten about them for the most part. No one was talking about Blood Red Throne up till 2021. I don't know what it was, which really now, I have only listened to that album passingly, their last release here, but to me, Altered Genesis is the one. Monument of Death in 2001, and Affiliated Suffering in 2004, I believe. Are the three full lengths that they begin their career and are classics in my opinion, but that ends in 2005 with Altered Genesis, which I talked about on my Cut Your Teeth series. Here we get Come Death in 2007. I need to revisit this band. I probably need to check out their new release in a more dedicated and I don't know, focused listening session. Who knows? I may spend more time on Blood Red Throne, but I need to replace that one. Because of cost or availability, what album have you yet to pick up? Negative Plane. I don't have anything by Negative Plane, and I would like that on a vinyl release. I know the Ashland Offensive Records has floated the idea on their webpage or their web store that they're going to repress the debut full length, which I would be interested in, but that's a really important 2000s black metal band, and I would love to have that on vinyl, but it's just availability of that is very slim. I think most of what I've seen so far is pretty outrageous price on the vinyl or cassette options, and it's just not something I want on cassette. So the Negative Plane discography, I'll be hunting for that, and hopefully that gets some reissues here in the coming future, maybe 2022, we'll see. But anyway, Metal Tag in the books. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.